Welcome to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Marie, a courage coach, creative soul, and adventure seeker. Since through hiking the Pacific Crest Trail in 2019, I'm on a mission to help you embrace your most confident self so you can achieve your dreams too. If you're eager for deep conversations, big questions, and meaningful connections, join me on the quest to discovering how we can create a more magical and memorable life. Hello nerds, how are you today? I'm really good. Best of news for me this morning, I went to grab a takeaway coffee at my favorite cafe that's just around the corner, like I've done many times in the last year and a half, and there were tables. We can start sitting there again, which I'm so happy about because I used to go and work there on my laptop like once or twice a week, and it gave me a sense of community. I felt like I had some colleagues, seeing the same people, getting to know them, and this was all over when COVID started. So it's been a year and a half since it was just takeaway coffee there. And I'm really happy that I get my office back. So today I want to talk about purpose and why finding your purpose really matters. Okay? First, I want to touch on a myth that purpose is a destination that you have to find and that it's outside of you. A destination that you have to get to. You have to figure out where you're going and then get there. That is not at all how I see it. How I see purpose is that it's like a magnet. It's a direction that you go in. And it's not something you have to find. It's something you have to allow because you flow naturally in that direction if you follow the path of least resistance. It's a direction with lots of missions on the way. And what I mean by that is some people will say, oh, I have so many passions. There's so many things I want to do. I don't have just one purpose. But I believe we have one purpose with lots of different missions that go in that direction. And missions are time periods or more specific goals. They have a beginning and an end. And I'm going to give you examples of missions later on in the episode. But for now, I want to give you my definition of purpose. So I said it's a direction. But what's in that direction? Two things, or three things rather. It's who you uniquely are. So tapping into who you uniquely are behind all of the layers of conditioning that you have put on as you were growing up to protect yourself. So that's one thing. Finding your purpose is uncovering who you uniquely are behind the layers of conditioning. The other thing is figuring out what is the world that you want to create. What is the ideal world that you wish you could live in? If you can define that, then you have a better idea of what your purpose is. And then third is an environment that's conducive to both of these things happening. So an environment, what I mean by that is your home, your job, your schedule, the people around you that allow you to be who you uniquely are and that allow you to live and create every minute of every day the world that you wish to live in. We can give your purpose the shape of a sentence to facilitate our human experience, just like Simon Sinek has done with the Find Your Why experiment and the books that he's created around that. The sentence usually has three parts. So there's the action, the target, and the result. So for example, mine right now, and it's an ever-evolving sentence, right? With always the same vibe, but you find words that feel good to you in the moment and that help you simplify the bigness of your purpose. So mine right now is helping adventurous souls become the most courageous version of themselves so that the world becomes a braver, bolder, more colorful place. I can summarize it this way. So you see there's the action, the target, help adventurous souls become their most courageous selves, and then the result. So that, ... So that the world becomes a braver, bolder, more beautiful place. And I actually have like a clear image of the world I want to live in, and I participate every day in what I do to create that world. Okay. You know you are fulfilling your purpose when you feel aligned in the mission that you are currently on. And there's, different ways to fulfill my purpose if we take it as an example. Right now, I have a coaching program that's called Brave and Bold that's helping people tap into their true self and take brave action. But if we think about a few years ago, I created a children's book for a summer camp for all the kids that were going to camp for the first time and they felt scared about what was coming up. It was also for their parents who felt scared, and the book was to show them what the experience was about and to encourage them to just jump into it. So you see how this is completely different to what I do now, coaching, but it is also very much aligned with my purpose of helping adventurous souls be their most courageous selves, right? But the unaligned missions serve too. They're just as important because they teach you more about what your purpose is by teaching you about what it is not. Imagine that you are in a long corridor with a blindfold, and the walls of the corridor are made of fire, and you're told that what you most desperately want in life is at the end of that corridor. And even though they hurt, you are grateful for the fiery walls because every time you touch them, they take you back to center and they tell you about the direction that you're supposed to go in, right? One way to find your purpose is to look at the past for hints. So I'm going to give you examples of the missions I've been on in my past and how they were either aligned or unaligned and what they taught me about what my purpose is. So first, my experience at summer camp. So I grew up going to summer camp, and then afterwards I became a counselor, then I became a manager and spent lots of summers there. And this was 100% aligned with my purpose, even though I didn't know it back then. I loved being outside, helping create a magical experience for the kids and for the staff members, connecting together and creating a micro society in which everyone can be their full, colorful self. And when I left that job or that period of my life, when I needed to move to something that would help me pay the bills, I missed it terribly. It was like a part of me was missing. And then I went to study television. And that's the perfect example of a mission, a 3-year mission that was not quite aligned with my purpose. I made great friends, and I'm grateful about that. But I knew while I was there that I was pulling away from what mattered most to me. I didn't really understand why I was there. I thought, I don't even really watch television. We had to fill in this quiz once that our teacher gave us. And on it, it asked, how many hours of television do you watch per week? And I guess the best answer was the highest number, because they told us that the more television you watch, the better you get at seeing what works, what doesn't, and mastering the craft. So I had to lie and write, I think I wrote 4 hours, but it was not true. I felt like the same way I did back in gym class when they asked us about how many hours of physical activity we did in a given week. And after my degree in the summer following that television degree, I went to work on a television set. And I spent many evenings coming home crying. I learned that summer that I didn't want to be a small cog in a big machine, that I wanted my voice to have more impact in a creative project. That taught me more about my purpose. And then afterwards, I got to work going back in the right direction. And I went to study visual communication. So studying visual communication felt like I was back in alignment with my purpose. I didn't know why, but I knew that everything that I was learning was going to be an important tool that was going to allow me to achieve everything that I wanted to achieve in the future. In the university I went to in London, we were free to create our projects, to come up with the ideas and work on them from A to Z. We had a lot of freedom, of creative freedom, and this allowed me to explore my voice, to explore my style, to explore what mattered to me, and I really enjoyed this period of time. Afterwards, I went on to become a freelance graphic designer, and although I loved the freedom that this gave me, I learned slowly but surely that, again, working for someone else's project, being a cog in their machine, allowing them to get to the creative result that they had in mind, was not part of my purpose. I felt like I was pulling away again. It's like my soul was slowly dripping out of me. And I was learning a bunch of useful tools, so it was useful. I was learning how to work with other people, how to work with those specific softwares. I was learning the technical skills. So all of these different missions are useful, but some of them are there to also teach you about what your direction is. So I left the world of freelance graphic design to go hike the Pacific Crest Trail. And it came to me not because I asked for it. It was like a whisper, like a calling that I became obsessed with. And I swear to you, I asked the universe to let it go. I said, I don't want to do this. It looks horrible and painful. Let's just focus in on a different goal. That seems more attainable. But no, the universe really wanted me to hike the PCT. And it wouldn't let me go. The voice inside my head just got louder and louder and louder until I had to find the freaking courage to do it. So I went and thru-hiked the PCT, and it completely changed my life. I had to go through that experience to learn what it meant for an adventurous soul like me to become the most courageous version of herself, so that I could then afterwards teach it to other people. So you see how all of these missions come together to teach me about my purpose. Even before I identified what it actually was, I believed that the universe was working on it for me, was guiding me gently on the path. How to find your purpose? Well, like I said earlier, look at your past for hints. What are the different missions that you've been on? What was aligned and what was not aligned in each of them? What did they teach you about yourself and about what works for you? Really sit down with your journal and look at the hints that are hiding in your story. And then get to know yourself deeply. Get to know your strengths, your obsessions, what your little inner whispers has to say, the activities, the interests, the hobbies, the things, the little intricate, quirky things that you keep going back to. What do they tell you about you? And who are you when you're not afraid of what people are going to think, when you're not afraid to fail, when you're not insecure, when you're not full of doubts? What's the treasure hiding underneath all of those layers of conditioning? And then daydream about the world you want to live in. Imagine what it would be like, and then act as if you are living in that world today. Instead of focusing on what is, on the reality that surrounds you, consider the world that you want to create and see how you can tweak your everyday so that you help create that world a little bit at a time. For example, many people say, oh, I wish I lived in a world where people were kinder, where people said hello to each other on the street. All right, well, why don't you start doing it today? Next time you go out to get a coffee or to the shopping center, to the garage, whatever it is, say hello to people that you meet. Give them big smiles. Oh, and you might think, but that's not what people do. I live in a big city. They're just going to think I'm weird. They're going to wonder why I'm looking at them this way. Does it really matter? Do you want to repeat and contribute to repeating the world that you already live in, or do you want to help creating a new one? If you have chosen the latter, then it starts with you, with taking responsibility for your actions and for choosing actions and words and behaviors that are going to help change the world in lots of tiny, tiny ways. Then, how to find your purpose. You can also practice getting in touch with your inner being. What's it asking? Where is it guiding you? What's it hoping for that you won't do because you're afraid? What's the niggling feeling inside of you? Compass, your inner compass. What does it want that you keep repressing? Get in touch with that, or practice getting in touch with it. And if you don't know how to do that, just practice following the joy, okay, in the everyday. And I know that you have responsibilities, you have places to be, you have jobs to do, but in the moments where you can, tune in inside yourself and ask, where is the joy right now? What do I feel like doing? What would make me happy in this moment? And you have to trust that all of these little decisions are going to lead you towards your big, meaningful purpose, okay? Small steps that go towards this meaningful magnet. Now, why does it matter? Why does it matter to find your purpose? Why can you just not carry on living like you have been living? Well, first, if you've been feeling anxiety, overwhelm, doubt, and confusion, it is a sign that you could do with more clarity. And finding your purpose creates that clarity and reduces those feelings of anxiety, overwhelm, doubt, confusion, resistance by helping you first to make all of your decisions, whether they be small daily decisions or big life decisions. When I decided to go through hike the PCT, for example, that mission was so clear that it informed all the decisions I made that day. So if I needed to go and visit a friend and I asked myself, how should I get there? Should I take the car, the metro, or should I walk there? It was obvious that I was going to walk there. And now that my mission is to help a bunch of people become their bravest and boldest self through coaching, I know that if someone asks me if I'm available to do an illustration contract for them, the answer is going to be no. It makes it so much easier to say no when you know what your purpose is and that you've clarified your mission. Makes it so easy to say no, and so easy to say yes when someone suggests something and it is perfectly in line with your mission and it's gonna help propel you forward faster and stronger. Having a purpose also simplifies your life to the maximum. You get to remove the parts of your life that don't serve your purpose, whether it be a habit, an activity, a group of people. You can look at each part of your life and ask yourself, how does this serve my bigger purpose? I started kayaking almost every day, and I can tell you that it serves my purpose because after I go kayaking, I have such a clear and relaxed mind that I create better work for my clients. And I'm more present with my clients. So something that seems completely unrelated does serve my bigger purpose. It is also true for what you wear, how much money you want to make. Like, I want to wear really bold and colorful clothes so that when I step out in public and people meet me and talk with me, they are inspired to show their true self. I want to be an example of what it means to be courageous, even in the way that you dress yourself. My purpose also helps me justify how much money I charge for my services because I know what I want to create and how impactful it's going to be. And I know that I need financial support to allow me to create those things. And so therefore, I'm not as anxious as I would have been in the past asking for money because I know what those dollars are going to be in service of. And I know that the world they are going to help create is going to be massively more magical than the world we live in today. And finding your purpose just gives you vitality, makes you feel alive because your energy is channeled towards what really matters to you. Instead of flowing in a bunch of different rivers, you only have one river that you've purposely chosen, that you've intentionally chosen. And all of your water flows in that direction. All of your energy flows in that direction. And you no longer waste time flowing in a bunch of different directions. And it feels so lighthearted. Less pressure. More ease. So that's why it matters. I hope I've made a good case for the importance of finding your purpose. But one thing's for sure is that even if you do find your purpose, it's no good if you don't have the tools to manage your mind and process your emotions. Because then life happens and your primitive brain is going to take over and you will fall back into your old patterns. So that's why with my coaching, I teach you not only how to find your purpose and to clarify what your next mission is and how you can plan to achieve your mission, but I also, and it's really important, teach you the tools to move forward with bravery and boldness, without which it becomes just so hard to progress. Because shit happens. Your car breaks down. Your sister-in-law gets angry. Your mother has requests. Whatever happens to distract you from your purpose. And if you don't have the tools to deal with your thoughts and create a more helpful inner monologue, to process your emotions so that they do not take over and guide you, to have compassion for yourself when you fall down so that you can stand up and keep going instead of beating yourself up, then your bigger purpose and your current mission are going to lose all of their importance because your primitive brain is going to take the helm and take charge of where you're going. And where you're going when you're following your primitive brain, when you're following your default conditioning, is safe. It's doing the same thing you've always done. It's doing the same thing that people around you do. And is that what your heart really wants? I would guess that the answer is no, because you've been listening to this podcast and you're probably like me. You want a joyful, magical, meaningful life that makes you feel excited to get up in the morning and to see what's gonna happen. So if you want that kind of life, I help you do this by, like I said, finding your purpose, clarifying your next mission, making a plan to achieve that mission, and also practicing the tools to manage your mind, to process your emotions, and to show yourself some compassion so that the journey is not so hard and that it's more playful and experimental. So if that resonates with you, keep listening to that podcast first. And second, if you want more closer guidance, I offer one-on-one right now. You can DM me on Instagram, or you can check out my website at selfgrowthnerds.com/coaching for more information. And I think that's it for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye! You just listened to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. Make sure to subscribe and to find me on Instagram at Self-Growth Nerds. If you want individual help developing the confidence to create a more meaningful and exciting life, visit selfgrowthnerds.com today to learn how. Finally, I want to thank my friend Etienne Galano for editing this, and I want to thank you, kind-hearted souls, for growing into your truest, most courageous selves every day and making this world a better, more beautiful place. My name is Marie, and I will talk to you next week.